Hi, I'm Kaine, and I've always been a storyteller. Whether it be through my passion as a singer-songwriter or working as a journalist, I've always been drawn to crazy stories and telling them to my friends. But there are some stories that haven't been told quite enough. So grab a seat, a drink, and hunker down as we delve into the realms of those forgotten stories. Welcome to Breaking Bard. Stories untold, tales that we've spun, quite a few missing, where have they gone? Come fill your mind with ghosts of the past, now that we're breaking bad. 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 Do-do-do-do-do-do. Hello and welcome to Breaking Bard. It is episode 3. Can I hear you scream? Woo! Woo! And here we have the one-person audience that is Maeve Sally. Hey Maeve, how are you?
Hi, very good, thanks.
Are you alright, babe?
I'm great, thanks.
Yeah, long week.
It's been a long week, but it's been a quick week. I'm going to France tomorrow. So
Off on your hollybobs.
Off on my hollybobs, get to see my family again.
Yay.
After 6 months. So
Very.
Looking forward to it. But not looking forward to the journey.
No.
Used to be second nature. Feels a bit strange now.
I know, it's just so harder. I mean, I did it myself 10 days and it was really just stressful. And you're like, oh, this is not what it was like before. I mean, we used to just travel everywhere. For me, it's COVID and Brexit and it's all coming at the same time. And it's just very dystopian feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's weird.
Very weird. But we're all happy. We've had a nice week. I'm very happy to be Friday. That's why we're so energized, aren't we, Maeve?
Yeah.
Cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
Nice glass of Prosecco bubbly bubs.
Bubbly. That's what you need, you know. Some Fridays it's just
Absolutely.
you know.
I feel like that's what we needed last episode, a bit of bubbles. We were on the rosé, weren't we?
We were blush.
Blush. I do love a blush.
Pinot Grigio blush.
Uh-huh. And we were a bit more tired. It was a midweek episode.
It was midweek. It'd been a long day.
Yeah.
Was it a Sunday, actually?
It was a Saturday that felt very much like a Sunday.
Midweek. It was fucking Saturday.
Oh my God. That just shows how bad we are.
That?
Oh my God. I swear it felt like Tuesday, Wednesday
Yeah, I was
vibes.
going to say Wednesday. But then I was like, no, because I spent the afternoon on the sofa, so...
But that's the beauty about this podcast, is that could have been like a Tuesday, Wednesday episode for someone who's living that Tuesday, you know?
Yeah.
That's the vibe we were giving.
Yeah.
But today it is full Friday feeling. Are you ready for a new story?
Couldn't be more ready.
Okie dokie. So we've done something different this time. I've given you a bit of a theme to look after. Can you tell our listeners what that's all about quickly?
So Kaine told me to do some research on part of something that's to do with the story. So I don't know what this story is going to be about at all. But he's given me a few keywords so that I've got a bit of context and get to share what I found out.
Absolutely. Are you ready to dive in?
Yeah.
So, in true Breaking Bard fashion, I'm going to be starting by showing you a picture.
Yay.
Yay.
Picture time.
But it's not just a picture, it's a painting.
I'm looking at a painting. I'm going to guess like Renaissance, kind of quite baroque. I don't know, I want to say like 15th, 16th century. You know those paintings that you see at like the Louvre or at the Prado.
Absolutely.
In Madrid, you know, all of those. So it's a naked woman sat on a bench kind of cowering with one boob out and her hands kind of up. And then two men leaning over the back of the bench, leaning over her and whispering. One's whispering into one's ear and the other one looks like he's talking to her. So it's...
Bit pervy.
Yeah, bit pervy. She's got blood on her feet. Just slightly
dramatic.
Disturbing. Yeah, dramatic.
So that painting is called Susanna and the Elders, right? And the person who painted this is called Artemisia Gentileschi, and she painted this at the age of 17.
No way.
So the Prado, Louvre, the kind of like great master vibe that you get. She was 17 when she did this.
That is so impressive.
So listeners, as usual, you can find the picture that I'll be referring to on my Instagram post at Breaking Bard. So I'm going to tell you the story of this really amazing, just formidable artist who fought misogyny throughout her life and was forgotten for hundreds of years. But now, in the last century, she's been recognized as being one of the most accomplished painters of her time, who managed to give a rare woman's perspective to an era that was largely dominated by the views of men.
Wow. Oh, I'm really excited for this one, Kaine.
And this is a good one because there's drama, there's
I love a bit of, old history.
So this is as you guessed, late 16th, beginning of the 17th century.
Okay.
So let's dive right in. So first of all, I want to thank my sources as usual. This one I found an amazing YouTube channel called Know the Artist, and it's by the YouTube channel's called Several Circles, and it's this young woman who has these really adorable cats, and I think she does all of like the visuals and stuff herself, but really just teaches you about painting and like artists. And I've never been a huge kind of like arty geek, but I mean there's something to be said.
Well, you took art A-levels,
art.
and
I did do the A-level French art plastique. I wouldn't say it gave me the best dive into the culture of art.
The best experience.
No, but you're right. I did have something. So this YouTube channel, loved it. Thank you so much. Please go check out her work. And then also a article by Singulart called Susanna and the Elders, Gentileschi's dramatic feminist masterpiece. And that's really the article that really kicked it off for me. I read and was like, what the hell? So Artemisia Gentileschi, because we love a full name.
Oh, yeah.
Was born in Rome on July the 8th, 1593. She was the eldest of 7 children, and her mother died at the age of 12. So she grew up with a single dad.
Oh.
She was raised by this dad, who's called Orazio Gentileschi, and he was a well-established painter for the royals and upper classes of Europe at the time. And
right. So Orazio just
Orazio,
traveling around. Orazio.
He had 7 children, and he was a great painter. So he had a big old house, and it was an upbringing. She was quite privileged for the time, but he was a follower of the colossal painter Michelangelo Merisi da Caravaggio.
Oh wow!
So as you know, perhaps can you give us a little bit of insight onto Caravaggio? If you know, have you heard of him?
Yeah, so Caravaggio was one of my keywords for today's episode. Very interesting character. I mean, he was known to be he didn't invent it per se, but one of the main painters using a technique called chiaroscuro, which I'm sure Kaine might tell us more about afterwards, but... he was the one that really went far. Very dark paintings. So he came after the kind of traditional Italian art, which was all about beauty and aesthetic. And he was much more about the kind of dark side of things and contrasts and like Jesus in a lot of his paintings has like really raggedy clothes and bloody feet. And it was like... basically being like they were poor and I'm going to paint them as poor and kind of choose that contrast and darkness over the aesthetic of just I'm going to paint like a beautiful painting kind of thing.
Well, you can definitely feel that vibe in that first picture that I sent you.
Well, very much. Yeah.
Well, that's, as you said, Artemisia herself would be known later as the only female follower of Caravaggio's style of the time, and his influence that can be noted in her mastery of this technique you were talking about, known as the chiaroscuro, which used to use the strong contrast in light and dark to achieve a sense of volume and kind of depth in the piece. So very interesting. But so Artemisia was introduced to painting in her father's workshop, showing much more enthusiasm and talent than the rest of her brothers. she learned drawing, how to mix colour, how to paint, and grew up in this like super creative context of seeing models come and pose for her fathers every day, you know, and really got into that world. And what's great is that her father encouraged this and didn't use the excuse of her gender to not kind of support his daughter. So in 1610, at the age of 17, she completed her first painting called Susanna and the Elders, which is what you saw, her first painting. The painting tells the well-known biblical story of Susanna, a Hebrew wife, who was falsely accused of participating in sexual acts with a man who was not her husband by two voyeuristic judges.
Oh, no.
Those creepy men that were peering at her, they had been watching her bathe before making advances which she refused, and so in retaliation they spread the rumour that she was an infidel, that she and disgraced her name, basically.
That's an oldie but goodie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Still coming back round these
Right,
days.
yeah, absolutely. The townspeople believed the judges and called for Susanna to be killed, but a boy named Daniel, and this is from the book of Daniel, a boy named Daniel saw through the claims of the judges and suggested they be separated and asked for their versions of events, which of course differed. And so the whole townspeople were like, okay, no, let's kill the judges instead. You know, just your good old family-friendly Bible story.
Yeah, oh, Daniel there.
There will be death. The question is who? So now the story of Susanna and the Elders has been painted before and since, but what's so striking about Gentileschi's version is how she conveys the young woman's distress.
Yeah.
Like her hand is pushing up against the judges, instead of other depictions, which you can look, where the women are almost portrayed as like the willing seducer, almost encouraging the men to come and harass her.
Do you know what? You're so right. You're so right. Like, from seeing that picture, I mean, yeah, from just the way I described it, you can feel she's vulnerable. You can feel she's cowering, and you know, yes, there's a boob, but it's like a vulnerable boob, and because she's hiding the other one, and that's
she's a master at vulnerable boobs. You'll see later on.
My favourite kind. Yeah. But no, and it's true. And then you think of other paintings of that ilk. And yeah, like you might often get a woman like kind of in a really vulnerable position, let's say, or kind of spread out somewhere with men everywhere, but then pouty almost, or, you know, like kind of, or looking at you, like looking out of the frame. Whereas here she's hiding her eyes almost. That's shame. Very true. That's really true. Very interesting.
So the painting's realism really stood out, and not only would it foreshadow her success, but also a dark event that would alter her life just a year later. So I told you how her father supported her art. Well, in 1611, Orazio decided that Artemisia was no longer benefiting from his own tutelage and asked a landscape painter, Agonisto Tassi, to tutor her. Now, the next part of the story is quite dark, just to warn the listeners. So, in short order, Tassi rapes Artemisia. Yeah. And at the time, women were expected to marry their rapists in order to avoid the sin of being deflowered out of marriage. No, because rape wasn't a recognised offence. So basically, Artemisia starts sleeping with Tassi because she has no longer any choice because he's deflowered her. It's mental, isn't it?
I feel gross.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Isn't it horrible?
Yeah.
She was like 18, you know.
And she married this pig landscaper.
Well, she didn't marry him because 9 months later, Tassi revokes his promise to wed her.
Oh, Tassi, fuckwit.
Yeah, absolute fuckwit. No, I mean, to be honest. Artemisia's father, Orazio, is like, oh, hell no. And so he presses charges for the, quote, destruction of his property.
Oh,
how cringe is that? It's not about the rape. Again, it's for 9 months, he was like, oh, well, they're getting married. They're sleeping together. How twisted is that?
That's so wrong. Property.
Yeah.
She's property.
So the trial, I got quite a lot of info from Artemisia, The Rape and the Trial by Tika Yupanqui, which is an online book. And So the trial began in 1612 and lasted several months. Another man, Cosimo Quarli, allegedly was involved in helping the rape occur, but didn't rape her himself. So he helped the guy get into the house, because basically I looked into it and it was a huge house where there were servants and there were different people staying there and models that would live there. And basically him and
well, like,
Cosimo,
he full on snuck into the house for the expressed purpose
to
of
raping
her.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And not only did he do that, but he had help from one man and a woman who was living with the family at the time. Apparently she let him in and overheard the screams but didn't do anything. So almost like a pimp kind of, you know.
Never trust an au pair.
Yeah, never trust an au pair. So through testimony, we learned what happened. So basically, Tassi, on the pretext of looking at a painting which was situated next to her bedroom, threw Artemisia into her room and onto the bed and then raped her. She tried to fight back, scratching at him and even throwing a knife that would superficially wound him. After the act, surprised she was a virgin, he promised to marry her in order to manipulate her into continuing to sleep with him. Until 9 months later, he revokes it and they go to court. So, poor thing. I mean, she's just been through, like, this traumatic event. And, like, technically, it's not even recognised as an actual offence. And she's like, okay, well, I've got to marry this dude, you know, or I'll be fucked for the rest of my life, kind of thing.
Well.
Wow.
Literally. That's horrible.
Yeah, it's really bad. So, if that's not dark enough...
Oh, no.
During the trial... And this is what really piqued my, interest, because I could not believe this was true. During the trial, Artemisia is forced to endure a physical examination down below in public to see whether or not she was a sex worker, as that was basically their go-to accusation. Has she had sex multiple times? Well, she must just be a sex worker who was moaning and taken to court because he hasn't paid her.
Oh, great.
And then she was tortured with a horrific little device called the thumbscrew.
No.
Yeah, to prove she was telling the truth. And here's a picture of the thumbscrew.
You haven't given me a picture of the thumbscrew.
How horrific is that?
Oh, for fuck. Oh, my God. I mean, it's literally 2 bars with spikes on them that presumably you put your thumb into.
Yeah, both thumbs, like this.
Both thumbs?
Yeah, like this.
Oh, no. Okay, so it's 2 bars with spikes on and then a screw going through the middle with one of those butterfly things that you turn to make the spikes go down. And, I guess you put your thumbs in there and then it fucking squishes you. That's horrible.
That's horrific. And she was made to do that just to prove that she was telling the truth. So as the device tightened, it was reported that Artemisia looked at Tassi in his face like a badass bitch and said, "This is the ring that you give me, and these are your promises." Like,
whoa.
Yeah.
Badass
Then between
bitch.
Screams of agony, she continuously repeated, "It is true, it is true, it is true. È vero, è vero, è vero."
È vero.
And in defense of her account. And so they were like, okay, she's not lying. She's telling the truth.
Well, blow me down. I mean...
Yeah, that's a lot to take in.
Yeah, that's a lot to take in. And that's a lot to put a woman through just when... that's already just been through such
I mean, you wonder
massive...
why we're still having trouble believing women in all sorts of... You know, that there's still this, you know... even today. And it's really interesting, but basically a 3-woman theatre group would go on to write a play in 2018 based on the trial transcript, and it was played at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and even in London, and it's called It's True, It's True, It's True. So like these are like related parallels in 400 years of women who are going through really, you know, traumatic experiences and not being believed instantly.
Yeah.
So after various testimonies proving her story, the jury also heard how Tassi was already a convicted rapist of his sister-in-law, his own wife, and that he had been planning on stealing pictures from the Gentileschi household.
So this guy is just massive sex offender, roaming free,
Absolute cock.
traumatizing women.
Yeah.
And then
The woman has to go through the thumbscrew, not the man. Ugh. So, both him and his accomplice, Cosimo Quarli, were convicted. Tassi was sentenced to 2 years.
2.
But 8 months after the trial, he was prematurely released and pardoned by the judge. Turns out he was a favourite painter of the Pope, which may explain the sympathy he was shown by the judge.
Great.
Can you believe that?
Thanks, old Pope.
This 18-year-old woman who's a painter is going like home with sore thumbs and bloody, a traumatized event, and like, no, he does 8 months. You're off. Well done. High five. So yeah, justice. So in time, Artemisia's hands healed, and her father arranged a marriage with a painter from Florence named Pier Antonio Schiattesi just a month after the trial. So, hey, you've been raped, you've had to be brave enough to go to trial, you've been tortured and physically examined in front of everyone, your person has gone. A month later, your dad's like, hey, want to get married?
Yeah.
So, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
So her and her new husband relocate to Florence, and a few years later, in 1616, she became the first woman to attend the prestigious Accademia delle Arti del Disegno, the Academy of the Arts of Drawing.
Wow.
And she became a court painter for the House of Medici and made many connections with academics of the time, including Galileo Galilei himself. There's letters that she sent to him.
Oh, so, Galileo.
Galileo Figaro.
Ooh.
So that's so cool. She was the
really
first
cool.
woman to attend this academy and just paint to her heart's. And she was getting commissions upon arrivals. She was doing like frescoes and stuff like that.
So many frescoes.
I know. But still, a lot of the time, female painters weren't thought of being able to withstand long paintings like frescoes on walls. So they were like...
Sure, because they're like weak and puny, right?
So like the Pope didn't commission a woman to do a fresco for like ages. So Gentileschi was one of these few female professionals even of her time, which meant she had a salary and many freedoms that her peers were unlikely to experience.
Sure.
She bartered her own prices.
Bring home the bacon. Exactly.
Brought her own paints and materials, and was even allowed to paint nude women, unlike her male peers. So during her time in Florence, she had 5 children, of which only one would survive, tragically.
Aww.
A girl named Prudencia, like Artemisia's mum. Love letters were found that showed that she had an affair with a Florentine nobleman, and that her husband, Pier Antonio, was aware and even tolerated it, because the lover's powerful influence would ultimately keep their family financially stable. So,
well, yeah, for sure. I mean, when you bring in the money and you can, it's kind of like, well, yeah, I guess you can do what you want. I mean, basically, you get allowed the same powers as men do.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? But after rumours began to spread, she separated from her husband and decided to return to Rome.
Oh.
So from then on, there's really no documentation mentioning her husband at all. So we don't really know if they were still married or she just lived apart, or she was like, bye bitch, don't need you anymore. Like she got her paint, she got her connections. Bye bitch. But she'd had enough, so.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, Prosecco went down the wrong hole. Speaking of which, we could do with a little top-up.
I could do with a top-up. I'll go and get some.
Thank you very much. Hey, welcome back. Great, fantastico. Feeling the vibes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Cheers again.
Cheers again. Ooh, did a double ding.
That was a lovely double ding.
Ding dong!
You get a ding dong. I mean, Artemisia would certainly get a ding dong.
She would absolutely get a ding dong.
She'd get 3 triple ding dongs.
For context, we are talking about Glow Up, which is
such a good show.
Such a good show.
You haven't mentioned my makeup, actually.
Your makeup looks great, Kaine.
Thank you.
It's really good. I really like the blue. It really suits your shirt. No, it really goes well with your shirt.
Thank you.
The colours, really, really nice.
Yeah, this is the first time I've worn trousers in about 11 days. So
You do mean like proper
isolation.
trousers. Like he hasn't been walking around the house naked.
No. Just the older jogging bottoms. But yeah, today I've got some real corduroy, wearing a shirt, got some makeup on for the vibes. Anyway, back to our darling Artemisia Gentileschi. So, low pay and sexism were two of her biggest fights during her career and life. In a letter to her patron, Don Antonio Ruffo, she said, quote, "I was mortified to hear that you want to deduct 1/3 from the already low price I asked." Also adding in a later letter, quote, "And now I'll show your most illustrious lordship what a woman can do." Bam!
Wow, that's
Sick
so
burn.
sacky. Love it.
I mean, besties, I think. We would have been besties. So over the years, Gentileschi would paint many heroines from mythology or the Bible, often using them as a way to self-portrait, which was really refreshing in the simple fact that women in pictures were rarely painted by women.
Yeah. So, of course, they have no resemblance to what women actually are or do or feel or act or anything.
Absolutely. So art experts praise Artemisia's skill in capturing the realism of women's bodies. That first picture that she did in 17, if you look at, no other way to say this, the boob rolls, so the rolls underneath her boobs, that wasn't shown before, and the way the breasts sit and the way, etc.
Can I see it again?
Absolutely. So here you are, like under the how it's just so realistic, and at the time, like
Yeah. Oh,
see?
yeah. Wow.
and so like they were like boob rolls.
Boob rolls are a thing.
Yeah, it's the way.
Yeah, even that little roll kind of above her thigh.
And what's crazy is that a lot of people wondered how she actually, as a 17-year-old woman, saw that. And a lot of people pointed to the fact that she saw life models coming for her father growing up. So she had a real...
She had reference to what women's bodies were.
Exactly. So isn't that interesting? Also, like, the 16th century, isn't it funny how, like, they wore so many clothes and were so, like, humble and kind of, like, prude.
Yeah.
But the paintings, everybody's fucking naked.
Everyone's naked.
Everyone's naked. So I think it's really interesting. It was kind of their release. It was their kind of like, you know, Britney Spears' sexy video of the 2000s that everyone was like, well, hey, you know, that's their sexual release, if you want, is drawing these biblical. Plus they use the biblical and mythological to be like, no, we're learning lessons from our history. But also getting a bit of an eye, you know.
Catch eye. That's a really interesting point, Kaine. I've never really thought about it that way, but
Exactly.
it's true. They're all naked.
They're all naked. One series of paintings point to the dark trauma and desire for personal vengeance after Tassi raped her. This is seen in her fascination with the story of Judith and Holofernes. Holofernes was an Assyrian general who was about to destroy Judith's home, the city of Bethulia. This is in the Bible. Huh? Overcome with drink, he passes out in his tent, and using her influence as a woman, Judith is able to slip into her tent and decapitate him. So you might have...
I wasn't expecting
Nobody is.
What did you say earlier? There's always death. It just depends who.
Absolutely. And so true. So Artemisia's painting captures the moment Judith unflinchingly slices Holofernes' head off in a scene of female empowerment and revenge. She tried painting it already as a teenager, but then conquered it as an adult. So throughout her life, she would paint 6 variations of this story.
Wow.
Before and after the decapitation. So a lot of people were like, you know, this is playing on her mind. I'll show you the picture now.
She wanted vengeance.
Put it under the light so you can see the chiaroscuro. Wow.
Wow, that's so chiaroscuro. I mean, the background is
You're
literally...
so chiaroscuro.
Hey, thanks. What a compliment. The background is just black.
Literally.
And then there are so many highlights, like bringing, like it looks so 3D, and that was the point of chiaroscuro, is to like make
volume, exactly.
and to make things come out. So we can see in this painting. Oh, is that decapitation?
Yeah, girl.
Oh shit! So
you were like, oh yeah, the background. I love how you looked at the background first.
It's because I'm not wearing my glasses, Kaine.
Shit.
And you were like, put it on the table, and I couldn't actually see.
Gotcha.
You know, the chiaroscuro was too good. Or I could just see that relief. That
background.
I could just see that background, girl. No, so what it is a man kind of clearly naked, but he's got covers kind of covering his, you know, like main everything. Mm-hmm. He's lying on a bed and he's being decapitated. There is a woman holding his hair and ear kind of, and beard really, this whole side of his face, and is cutting his head off with a big sword. And there's another woman behind.
That's her acquaintance.
And
she in the other pictures, there's pictures of them holding the head and putting it in a basket and like,
damn.
Damn.
So like she is basically just gunning for revenge.
Well, she has this really peculiar,
or she's got this like internalized kind of trauma,
of course,
of what happened to her. I mean, yeah, of course.
It's
so
mental.
Really interesting that she went back to that every time.
Yeah. And it's really an amazing picture. Again, it will be on my Instagram post. So later in 1630, she leaves Rome for Naples, which was a popular spot for artists of her generation. And she continues to hone and practice her craft. So she's done Rome, she's done Florence, she's done Naples. Yeah, the big three. In 1638, and so I went and Googled, and basically she was 45 at this age. Which is amazing, because considering the average lifespan in the 17th century Europe was 35 to 40.
They didn't last long.
So brava.
That's like ancient at the time, isn't it? No one had ever seen anyone make it past 50.
I know. Well, Artemisia joins her father in London.
Ooh.
At the court of, can you guess the king? 1638. Come on, mate.
Oh, God. Okay.
And he's not just a boy in George. He's like one.
No, I know. Hold on. Okay. Is it James or Charles? Charles the First.
It's Charles the First!
Yes! Oh my God.
For everyone at home, we are huge history buffs. And so, like, through books and, like, history dramas, we just kind of try and absorb it in. So, well done, Maeve.
Yeah.
I was like, should I ask her? I don't want to put her on the spot.
No, that's great.
I knew you'd get it. So she joins her papa at the court of Charles I of England.
Wow.
Where Papa Orazio had become court painter. And he was even commissioned to decorate a ceiling in the Queen's house, which is in Greenwich, next to the Maritime Museum. It's really lovely. For the Queen, at the time, Henrietta Maria. Father and daughter were working together once more. And Charles I had invited her personally to his court, which was impossible to refuse, obviously. So he was quite an enthusiastic collector, and the fame of Artemisia as a female painter probably intrigued him, because he acquired one of her paintings for his own collection. So he had one of hers before he was executed. So Papa Orazio sadly died suddenly in 1639. But I'm guessing he must have been pretty old, because if she's already 45...
She was 45.
Yeah, well, they were, let's not forget, they were the nobility. Yeah. They were kind of the upper class a little bit.
It's true.
So, leaving poor Artemisia alone to fulfill her commissions, she remained in England for 3 years until 1642, literally a month or two before the English Civil War.
Good job she got out, girl.
Yeah, began. Literally, she just got out in time, which was between the supporters of Charles I and opponents from both England and Scotland. Like, it was everyone against him.
Who?
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Mom.
Not much is known about the next chunk of her life.
Oh, wait, so you were going to...
No, it wasn't a name. It was just not much. And I went into it and it went... So not much is known about the next chunk of her life, but we know she returned to Naples and continued painting. Artemisia was thought to have died in 1652. But recently discovered letters show she was still alive and kicking and accepting commissions way into 1654. So,
No.
Yeah. But in these letters, they show that she was more and more dependent on her assistant that she had. So she basically, like, spent the rest of her life, you know, living in Naples, kicking it, you know, doing commissions, painting, kind of living her best life, I'm guessing. But it's believed that she died during the plague that swept through Naples in 1656 and virtually wiped out an entire generation of Neapolitan artists.
Oh no, that's awful.
I know, so it's really sad. We don't have a, like, direct, she's passed, she's no longer with us. We don't have an exact date, which is quite sad because we can't be like,
Could be she lasted for years, you know?
Yeah.
And then just, you know, tranquilly...
I think she was taken out by the plague.
Oh.
sad as it is to say. But one of the most ironic kind of like facts is that she was quite celebrated in life. Like, she was a commissioned painter. Like, she lived from it. Ironically, whereas a lot of people later on found fame in death posthumously. After years of being hidden away, her legacy is finally being heard. Artemisia has been praised for capturing the emotional and psychological experiences of her female subjects. In a painting depicting Cleopatra's final moments before suicide in order to escape the oppression of men, there's a peaceful dignity given to the heroine that transcends the otherwise morbid scene. So her art had a message, and it was a message of dignity for women who were not shown this during their lives. You know, like she gave a female version to things that were already portrayed, you know, Bible scenes and stuff. But she kind of had this, well, how did that woman actually feel?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, this woman was seen bathing, and then, you know, how did she feel? She wouldn't be smiling encouragingly. That's a man's view.
That's a man's view, yeah. Oh, that's a man's view of, she must be bathing in that thing just to attract us and just to, you know, like, be sexy, when actually she's like, I just want to swim naked in the water because it feels great, and stop looking at me, you pervs.
Absolutely, fucking pervs. So, ironically, much of Artemisia's work was falsely mistaken for her father's or for Caravaggio's.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
And it wasn't until 1970 when a painting of hers was included in a collection of female artists at the Los Angeles County Museum of Art that people started to really notice, like, the difference and the impact of her work.
Yeah, because it's true, like, when you showed it to me, I think on kind of face value, you look at it and go, oh yeah, that's just another painting from that kind of style. But actually, she brought, like, much more nuance and much... more of a woman's view, I suppose, which is really interesting and must be pretty incredible to look back on now and actually, like,
400
show
years ago.
The contrast.
And yet for 400 years, paintings were found, must be her father's, Caravaggio's, you know.
Do you know, by the way, about Caravaggio? He killed someone.
Really?
He murdered someone.
What the fuck?
He had quite a young career, like, got well known and stuff, and then he, like, assaulted and murdered someone.
No way.
And then spent pretty much the later part of his life and career on the run from justice.
No way.
Yeah, and he never got caught, but he was like, always
He was never caught?
He was a fugitive.
Oh my Christ.
And he had a really troubled upbringing and, you know.
That's
tricky.
amazing.
He killed someone.
That's crazy. Well, troubled artist.
Troubled artist.
She wasn't making bank. She was caught.
Well, she was traumatized because she was fucking raped. You know, she didn't have the privilege of being able to murder someone and then
get away with it.
Be the most recognized artist for that.
Yeah.
Type of painting. You know, it's mad.
Yeah, that is mad. So the crazy thing is, her work is still being discovered. In London last year, 2020, pandemic. So they were actually... I
love that, sorry to interrupt you, but I love that that's your reference of 20... Well, I mean, it is a reference for 2020, but, you know, it's like you have to say it. It's like...
Did last I say
year,
pandemic?
2020, pandemic.
Did I say the word pandemic?
That's what you said.
I can't...
It's like you think of 2020 and you're like, okay, what happened in 2020?
Yeah.
Pandemic.
Well, yeah, I mean, what else did? It's such a weird...
Yeah.
Such a weird one. Pouring Prosecco. Oh yeah, cheeky.
Yeah, cheeky.
God, I love Prosecco.
Fitting. The Italian theme.
Very fitting. Baroque.
Prosecco is not baroque.
No, it's not. But it is an art form, that's for sure. So, in London in 2020, a painting of David sitting on a slain Goliath's head that had long been attributed to one of her father's students was actually found to be her work.
No.
Upon closer examination, the name Artemisia was found scribbled on David's sword.
Oh. But it's because it's like historians, you just don't know, do you?
And that discovery came just before a planned exhibition of her work, the first ever, at the National Gallery in London. And it is called 5 Heroines by Artemisia Gentileschi.
Oh, we should go and see it.
We should. And it says, I looked on the website, and it says it was supposed to be, it says a past exhibition from 3rd October 2020 to 24th January 2021. But I think it's been postponed because of COVID. So we'll have to call them to see if it's on and then go. That would be lovely.
Yeah, that would be really exciting. I'd love to
see that in the flesh.
Yeah.
And that's the story of Artemisia Gentileschi, the forgotten Baroque painter.
Wow.
Wow.
I
Isn't
loved
it cool?
That's really cool.
Did you love that one?
I loved that story, Kaine. I loved that. I mean, because it's just right up my street. Like, you give me anything, like...
Old-timey.
I'd say my sweet spot is between, like, the 14th and the 18th century.
We're such geeks, aren't we?
We
I
are,
love
but
it.
anything in that, I'm there. I'm
me too.
100% there. I've got the context. It's great.
I get a real history boner. That's for sure.
A honer.
But yeah, no, I'd just like to say, like, this story, I remember reading it and being like, really, I mean, the rape and the trial and the torture.
That was really hard to listen to, actually.
It was really hard to listen to, and I'm sorry if it was hard to listen to, but, I think this is, like, now we're on episode 3, I think this is really the thing I want to do with this podcast is, like, tell stories of people that were forgotten. And
well, this is so interesting because she fits perfectly within this context of, this period in history that you might think not me personally, but one might think they know, Caravaggio, who came from Michelangelo, and it's kind of around the same time as, Da Vinci and all of these big names that you hear. And, of course, never once do you speak about a woman who was there and who also made an impact. So really great to be seeing these kinds of stories reappear again, of people who, like, you think the context or the reality of a history that is a certain way, and then historians discover something new, and it just changes your whole vision of what that time would be. Absolutely. And that's why history is so fascinating, but especially when historians manage to focus on like women or minorities or the people whose stories weren't told and who weren't in the mainstream at the time. They just weren't recorded. You think of all the forgotten people in today's time, they're not posting on social media or being in the news or whatever, and people kind of slip through the cracks of history.
They really do. And this is what I hope this podcast really gets through is, we're not just like searching for, as you said, like minorities or female stories. It's because, like, there just aren't that many in mainstream society, and you have to dig. But the fact that you have to dig is what is actually crazy. And I'm hoping that with these episodes, people can, go away and have learnt something. And because I definitely learnt that there was this badass Artemisia Gentileschi. Artemisia, I love the name too. It's so
Artemisia
lovely.
is a great name. Artemisia and then Gentileschi, like
it's so great.
What's her middle name? Lomo.
Lomo.
Slice of ham.
Innit? Slice of ham, portrait. What else do you want? But yeah, I'm glad you liked this episode. It was really fun to tell you this story. Yeah, it was really cool.
Really good. Thanks so much for having me on again.
Of course.
I'm loving this.
Loving it too. And I hope everyone at home is enjoying this. And if you do, please tell your friends, subscribe, etc. And make sure to check out the Instagram post for all of these absolute gorgeous paintings. And that was me, Kaine, from Breaking Bad, telling you this story. And I hope you all have a nice evening. Maeve, would you like to sign off?
Good night, everyone, and always stay Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad. Stay Breaking Bad. We'll find it.
Right, okay, bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks. Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad. That's not an accent, by the way. I'm just doing a stupid voice.
Maeve's just being stupid. I love it. Let's go be
Breaking Bad.
Let's go be stupid upstairs and watch Drag Race. I can't wait. We're gonna have such a girly night.
Oh my god, and we're in a fantasy league.
Oh my god, Fantasy League Drag Race is what life is about right now. It's honestly what's gonna get me through 3 weeks without you.
Oh, it's what's gonna get me through 3 weeks without you.
That's amazing. Bye.
Now that we're